Welcome back to the Pulse. We've been talking about rape and defilement and how to get results in dealing with some of these menaces. Gender Minister Otiko Afisa-Jaba, many have said that she's speaking a bit too late, but no matter how late it is, let's listen to her. She's been addressing the media at the Information Ministry.
We must also seek to avoid, and the quest for sensationalization of these issues must also be put to the back, because especially when there are issues concerning minors. In this case, the victim is a minor and the alleged perpetrator is also a minor. They both have rights, and when we sensationalize issues, then the case might be corrupted, and how it pans out for the justice that we seek might not actually come out. And so the ministry is seeking to execute its mandate of protecting and safeguarding the rights of children, women, and the vulnerable. I want to emphasize that the protection is a collective one. The president is very interested in this case, and he actually asked me to go there last night, and I entreat to be more vigilant. To the media, I want to thank you for bringing the issue to the forefront of our national discourse. It is a wake-up call for all of us to reaffirm our commitment to protecting our children. Ghana is a community moving away, migrating from our villages and to the cities. Women and men are now busy working, and it makes it difficult for us to have the proper parenting. We now leave parenting to something called WhatsApp, to TV, to house helps, and what have you. There is no exchange for the role of a parent. The teacher cannot be the parent. The television cannot be the parent. The WhatsApp and the social media cannot be the parent. The parent is the parent, and they must be responsible for the welfare of their children. And then the ministry will support the necessary care that government has to give to all of us.
And that was Gender Minister Otiko Afisa-Jaba, and she wants the issue of defilement and rape to be handled with the urgency it deserves. With particular reference to the Assin Adadentem issue, she wants both the suspect and the victim to be handled properly because they are both minors. She's calling on all parents to come on board to fight rape and defilement, and of course, she's warning of sensationalism. Let's go back to the Information Ministry. She's still speaking.
Each one of us pledge and commit that we are going to be responsible for the actions of each other. We are each other's keepers. If you defile Otiko's child, tomorrow somebody else's child will be defiled. And so to ensure that it doesn't happen to another person's child, the sanctions must be reviewed, and the necessary punishment and justice must be applied to whoever has caused this crime. We are serious about what we do, and I believe that together we will get it right. I want to thank you all for your kind attention. Thank you very much.
So that was Gender Minister Otiko Afisa-Jaba. Certainly, she wants the sanctions for perpetrators of rape and defilement to be reviewed, of course, to get tougher punishment, and she says that will deter other people from engaging in such acts. And of course, she also talked about parents getting on board to get rid of this canker in society. She warns of sensationalism, and she says it doesn't help matters. And of course, with that Assin Adadentem, where a 4-year-old girl was defiled, she's asking that the victim be protected as much as the perpetrator who's being arrested. He also must be protected because he's a minor. Let's go back to the Assin community, where police at Assin Fosu have arrested a suspect alleged to have defiled the 4-year-old girl in Assin Adadentem in the central region. The arrest came Sunday after Ghanaians piled pressure on the police to take swift action. The Central Regional Police Commander, COP David Ampabenyin, earlier told Joy News action has been initiated to penalize the investigators mediator who was handling the case for failing to inform his superiors about it, with the IGP also promising that justice will be served. The suspect had been on the run for days. Meanwhile, Gender and Social Protection Minister Madam Otiko Jaba says she was not in the country when the incident happened. She has been condemning civil society organizations for what she calls their call for instant justice always. Madam Jaba has also hinted her ministry will tomorrow launch the review of the laws protecting children.
When the incident occurred, I was in Dakar, actually on a program concerning ending child marriage and other negative traditional and cultural practices. And so I wasn't in Ghana when it happened. But even if I was in Ghana, I would not have responded immediately. It is not the media that governs the country. We govern together. And so when there is an issue, the appropriate processes must be put in place. The criticisms are because people want to sensationalize things. Social media wants, and some various entities want to say that they are doing something about it. But what are you doing? You might be accusing the wrong person. Ghanaians wanted to hear from me, and this is the time for me to speak. I can't just be responding to putting out fires. It's a national issue. The issue of defilement, in 2015, we had over 1,132 cases reported for girls and 16 for...
Let's go back to the Information Ministry and listen to Maxwell Agbagba, multimedia journalist who broke the story of the 4-year-old who was defiled in Asena Dadientem. He wants some answers from the gender minister.
Because no media house had the attention, or no media house had the opportunity to bring the issue to light. Now today on the Joy FM Midday News, we broke another story about an 18-year-old girl who was raped by a man who is over 30 years old. The man raped her and then hung her in a room. She fell from the top and she still has bruises of the noose that was tightened around her neck. And she walks in town with that bruises. More will be on Newsline today at 6 p.m. on Joy FM, and then join us at 7. But I want to find out what kind of action is being taken to penalize the said officer who was handling the case of the 4-year-old girl who was allegedly found. Thank you.
Thank you very much for these questions. Yes, the victim is 4 years old and the alleged perpetrator is also under the age of 18. You want to know what kind of justice the child will receive. The child has rights, and the best interest of the child has been affected. And so, as we speak, with the intervention of the MP, as well as the DC and myself, yesterday, the young man who is alleged to be the perpetrator had run away from the community. But because of our interventions, he came back yesterday and he's in the custody of the police. I understand that he's even been set before the court, and that he's in remand now. And so that is the beginning. The rest of it is for justice. Because he's also a juvenile, there is a protection for him under the law. And it's important that we respect the law and ensure that the due processes take place. Even when you are sanctioned by law that you are supposed to have a death sentence, your rights are still protected by the law. So, and in Ghana, you are innocent until proven guilty. So the rest of what we are doing here, I cannot determine it. It's for the judiciary to determine. But I believe that justice will be served and the right punishment will come up from the judiciary for whoever has caused this harm to our child. So that is what we can do. And the other things are in the area of advocacy that I have mentioned, that the time has come for us to be more aggressive about educating our people in their dialects about the various laws and the responsibilities of our people. The other part of it is the current state of the child. As you are aware, the MP was able to go in immediately, and I want to commend him for that, and has kept the child, one in the village and then to his home. And because the child is a property of the state, he's going to hand over the child and the mother, and we will keep them in.
So coming back to the studio, we're going to Dr. Louise Carol Sewa Donko, who is in the studio with me. She's a member of the Pepperdam Ministry, a gender advocacy group, and they've been speaking a lot since the story broke. Hello, good afternoon. Good to have you, Doc. You just had the gender minister, and she's unhappy about what she describes as sensationalism, and she adds that your ministry is one of the groups, well-meaning advocacy groups, and she says that you're asking for instant justice, and she's unhappy about it. I mean, how does all of this come across to you?
I mean, thank you very much for this invitation to, respond to the Honorable Minister of Gender and Social Protection, Children and Social Protection. I think that, well, we all know that the political shoes are not, sort of the easiest kind of shoes to wear, and I perfectly understand that. But the issue of instant justice, I think, has been misrepresented, and that is because instant justice isn't what any civil society organization per se has requested. What we have requested for the minister to do, and all the agencies or institutions involved to do, is to have acted swiftly, more swiftly than they have, done. And then a good example is the fact that Pepperdam Ministries, we visited Asin on Saturday. We were there to see the girl, the little girl who is 4 years old. We went to see the girl who is 12 years old, who was raped for 2 days and was nearly hanged by her rapist. And we also, did some education in the community. We did outreach to the women, to the men, and to the children in that community. And we would have expected that the institutions involved could have moved swiftly into the community to first empathize, to give the resources needed, and to even provide the needed advice that would have, sort of comforted the community and the parents over there. And so one evidence that I would like to refer to is the fact that when we went there, there were reports about the fact that the crime officer had not...
Okay, I'll have you hold and go back to the information ministry, because we have DSP Sheila Bachman updating us on some of these defilement and rape incidents.
You have to go through that trial. And within 3 days, if you look at the law, you would notice that punishment would not have been pronounced, because we have to follow the law. And so as and when we are done with following the due process, that information will be out. Thank you.
Any more questions? You have a question? If anyone also wants to ask a question, let's take the last batch and then wrap up. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Daniel Dancing. I work with Joy FM and Joy News. I'd like to ask a quick response from the police.
Okay, so that was Sheila Bachman, and she was updating us on rape and defilement cases in the country. Let's come back to the studio, and you were explaining why the gender minister shouldn't describe this as sensationalism.
Yes. So I had earlier mentioned that Pepperdam Ministries, we went to Asin in the central region. The girl had been relocated to a different community. I think that's Asin Ando from Asin Adadientem. And we had gone to, see a lot of the girls in that community who have been, victims of these unfortunate incidences. And what happened was the fact that we gathered that the investigative officer had not even mentioned it to the crime officer. And so if we are sort of, pushing for some momentum to address the issue, you cannot necessarily call it instant justice. It is about bringing the needed pressure to bear for the relevant authorities to take the needed action, calling for the needed action swiftly, promptly, and in the needed character cannot in any way be described as instant justice. At the end of the day, the police cannot sit, or the courts wouldn't be able to sit in a day without any appropriate evidence, to even sit on the case. So that can't be instant justice.
Certainly, that can't be instant justice, but would have to go back to the Information Ministry and still get some detail of some update the police has for the public. Sheila Bachman is still speaking.
You will get it. So let's not be in a rush at all. Let's allow the due process to follow. If it is about the specific case, it's now become sub judice, and police will not run commentary on it. But, so far it's far advanced, then you have all the information you need. If it's about whether there is a problem at Asin Fosu, I can talk about police mandates. And we are working together with you and all other stakeholders. Our mandate is to prevent crime. Our mandate is to investigate the crimes. Our mandate is to ensure.
So DSP Sheila Bachman speaks for the police. Back in the studio, certainly we cannot address or explain this to be sensationalism, but whether we like it or not, that's how the minister sees it. So going forward, how do we push government and other stakeholders to actually do their job without people describing it as sensationalism?
Well, people's descriptions of people's actions is just left to them, right? So what civil society has to do, they definitely have to do it. And in that manner, I would say that citizenship or citizens' engagement cannot be left to the definition of politicians. Citizens are free to speak up. Citizens are free to air their opinions. Citizens are free to complain about the things they want to complain about. And they are free to imagine and to also put pressure for the world or country that they have imagined. And so in that case, I wouldn't prescribe anything for how civil society per se should engage their advocacy. Civil society is there to put the needed pressure on government and on the elected officials or appointed officials who are, who our taxes sort of fund the activities in that. Yeah, so, for me, I will not prescribe anything for civil society. I would say civil society has done well by, gathering the needed momentum for the police to even address this issue. That's what we want to see for every area or sector of society that we need politicians to act on, that we need the relevant institutions to work on. Civil society should constantly bring their voice to bear in employing all the needed tools which are important, which work, which are legal to bear to get the needed results. So that's my opinion.
One school of thought will say that sometimes we get too emotional with such issues, and of course that could lead to the sensationalism the minister is talking about.
I perfectly understand, but I think that if we hear that a 4-year-old girl has been defiled, empathy is an issue of emotion, right? And so we can't really take emotions out of the things that we care about. Anything you care about is an emotion. And so for me, I don't think the issue should be about, has it been sensational? No. Have we gotten the results that we want? Yes, we're getting there. And I think that's what the focus should be.
All right, and that was Dr. Louisa Carol Sewadonko. Thank you so much for coming. She's a member of the Pepperdam Ministry, and they've been doing a lot of advocacy to end defilement and rape.